No, not November, but the walnut's my favourite plant in Plants vs Zombies. This is part 2 of my conquest to see if I can beat all of Plants vs Zombies 2 with just nuts. Make sure you watch the first part if you haven't, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who watched that video, subscribed to my channel, and left so much support in the comments. It's just extraordinary. Right, without further ado, let's see if these salt-seeking seamen can handle my nuts. Day 1 is your standard introductory affair. As far as world gimmicks go, this one's a little dull. It's just sort of like, here's a lane or two, they're going to have less zombies in them. I'm very fond of pirates though, so I don't mind at all. Day 2 was actually pretty tight. I wasn't really expecting such an onslaught of zombies so early on. I remember these bird zombies could fly over plants and ignore them, but thankfully I'm wrong about that. Still, sending so many at once though is brutal. Luckily this level is very generous on plant food, so it was a pretty easy first time clear. Day 3 was incredibly easy. The swinger pirate heard of my day 3 edging shenanigans and decided to finish himself off instead. Normally, if a level was this easy, I'd give you guys some interesting nut facts, but I actually need to address some allegations made towards the peanut. Rumours of surfers claiming the peanut isn't actually a nut, but instead a legume, making it more akin to a bean. Now the way I'm choosing to interpret this, which is the correct way to interpret this, is that beans are now technically nuts, since they're now apparently related to peanuts, which are irrefutably nuts. I mean, just look at these guys, these are prime nut specimens. This cutting edge research done by my comment section may end up proving incredibly helpful for a certain bit of nighttime fun coming up, but I'll leave the beans alone for now. Day 4 is the reintroduction of the buckethead zombie. I need to commit a plant food or a walnut to deal with these guys, which is fine. As long as there's no other zombies for the rest of this world that needs the same treatment, we should be absolutely fine. We're gonna be golden. This level was maybe the first time the peanut's tankiness was actually a factor. Up until this point, I've kinda just been paying 50 extra sun for a worse pea shooter. I don't know what was up with day 5, but it was raining sun in this level. It's rare that I get this many nuts on screen. As a result, it was very easy. Did you know that nuts are an amazing source of protein? No, really, nuts are very nutrient rich. Peanuts especially are a great source of protein, as well as a very rare source of biotin, which is a very beneficial B vitamin. Although, according to you guys, peanuts aren't even nuts, so what do I know? In between levels here, I got an achievement for something I didn't do. Heat up things in multiple lanes. Who, this guy? Day 6 was incredibly tight. I've not had to use lawnmowers in a while, but I had to let a multiple rip on this one. The nuts just don't handle hordes all that well. Also, at the start of this level, there was this really long delay between the second and third zombies, and I didn't want to waste time sitting around with unplanted nuts because of their crazy long recharge time, which by the way, from now on, I'll be calling that recharge time the nut refractory period. So anyway, I randomly place a peanut at complete random, and literally nanoseconds later, zombies appear in every lane but the one I just planted in. I'm not proud to admit this, but I actually got outsmarted by the zombies. Day 7 was even tighter than the last. This level introduces the barrel rolling zombies, and these guys are so much worse than the safety torch zombies. Those zombies, whilst deadly to the walnuts, folded to the firepower of peanuts. But these belligerent barrel bigots won't only squash my nuts CBT style, but they're also tanky enough to just ignore the peanut fire. These guys require a plant food to clear or it's over. There's also a weird element of randomness with the peanut plant food, where sometimes it will kill the zombie and leave the barrel, or vice versa. I don't think it will ever matter, but it's kinda neat. Day 8 is just a conveyor belt level, which I'd normally skip over, but look at the freakish way I decided to beat this level. This is the kind of setup that gets you put on a list. Day 9 really exemplifies how underutilized the world gimmick is in Pirate Seas. The last wave in this day had a single zombie in each of the water lanes, meaning the rest of the zombies are stacked into just 2 lanes. I just stacked peanuts in the 2 lanes that actually matter and won very easily. More important than boring level design though, I had some golden ideas during this day for some reason. I write down any jokes or bits or video ideas in a Word document while I play through the game, and during this level I had a golden idea to try and get a sponsorship with some sort of sweet nut snack brand, or like salted peanuts or something, which I think would make me the definitive YouTube nut spokesperson. So if anyone out there has any connections in the nut industry, get in touch. Day 10 was near identical to the previous day, and thus it was very easy. My only notes on this one is just, quote, currently eating chili and wasabi nuts, they're like whatever, end quote. Did you know there's a rare psychological phenomenon known as the Mandela effect? This is where parts of the world population believe peanuts are some sort of bean. I shed a tear for these poor lost souls. Day 11 is our toughest challenge yet. I had to use all of my mowers to win this one. The saving grace for all these difficult levels is that a single peanut in each of the water column is usually enough to get by. I almost lost to a stray imp at the very end, but this brave walnut gave up his life to save us the level. Rest easy, soldier. His sacrifice earns us the iconic coconut cannon, one of the slickest plants out there. I actually had some comments in the previous video asking me to use the coconut cannon in this challenge. Since he has all the makings of a nut, he's hard, brown, and blows his load at the slightest touch. Whilst it would be crazy cool to get to use this icon, I don't think I'll ever have a spare 400 sun laying around for this challenge, so he's off the team for now. Day 12 is the coconut tutorial, and instead of explaining to you guys the intricacies of the coconut cannon, I want to highlight some of the best comments I got in my last video. The hundreds of uplifting and inspiring messages made me immeasurably happy and has given me such a drive to give content creation my all. I sincerely cherish every single one of them. That said, however, I just don't know if they can compete with the absolute poetry of edging ? Seaman, or the celebrity appearance of the melon pot himself. And I can't even begin to describe the mix of happiness, confusion and shock when I read "Are you French?" for the first time. But I think the absolute definitive winner of my comment section is the poor soul who commented that they have a nut allergy and have had an anaphylactic shock and got flagged by YouTube for being potentially offensive. Truly, you are an enemy of the nut state and have been punished accordingly. This is the only comment out of like 500, more than 500, that got flagged for being potentially offensive. YouTube is so bizarre, man. Day 13 requires us to produce 2,000 sun. I just used sunflowers with a free boost for this, and I know, sunflowers aren't nuts, but I'm not going to end the challenge over some arbitrary challenge on a level like this. The extra sun helped a little bit, but it's still the nuts refractory period that's the real issue here, so I still had to fall back on walnut stool. This level also introduces the captain zombie. He's not a problem right now because of all the decoy sunflowers, but when you only have access to a few crucial plants, those parrots become real vermin. Day 14 is a set and forget level, which are my absolute favourites, and at long last I get to create a perfectly even 4 rows of pure unpregnable nutty goodness. I passed this level first time by the skin of my teeth. The barrel rollers don't actually instant kill nuts like the torch zombies do, they take almost a full second to kill the nuts. Normally, this time would be inconsequential, but in this level it allowed me to just stall out the zombies long enough to hit the final wave. If I wanted to play as optimal as possible, I probably should have used half the amount of peanuts in the water lanes and further invested into the middle 3. But my smooth ass goblin brain needs its pattern recognition quota filled. Speaking of investing, I'm experiencing explosive channel growth at the moment and I've got a lot of big plans coming up. You should consider subscribing to me now while you still have small channel bragging rights. After beating day 14, we unlock the free pear. I know this is supposed to be the nut video and I gotta make silly little nut jokes, but I can't lie, I think the free pear has to be one of my favourite plants in the whole franchise. It might genuinely be second only to the OG walnut. I think it's because I have such a soft spot for goofy character designs, and this guy perfectly captures the charm of the OG pea shooter, but like 3 of them. We start day 15 with a pre-planted free pear, which I'm definitely not complaining about, even if he is off centre. This was the first level since I think day 3 of Egypt that I didn't do first try. Unfortunately, my recording software crashed during this one, so I really don't have much to comment on. So here's a bonus nut fact, I guess. Did you know that peanuts, which we've already established are definitely nuts, are often referred to as goobers? This word appears in many British dictionaries and only kind of sounds like a slur. Day 16 is another level that I couldn't beat first try. You need to defend the spring beans, and these guys are straight garbage. The biggest hurdle this time round once again is the barrel zombies, who the beans can only clear half of. After 3 attempts of basically doing the same thing, I decided to mix it up. First by placing nuts in front of the beans to utilise their pure bulk, but they instantly get folded by the barrels. Then I tried sacrificing lawnmowers in the water lanes, so I could double up nuts in the main lanes. This strat was much better, but still not close enough. After a few more failed attempts, and with the feeling that I can beat this level fleeting quickly, I'm visited by a potential saviour, the gum nut. However, despite having nut in the name, it doesn't really look like a nut, so what is it? This question sent me headfirst into what is probably the shallowest rabbit hole I've ever went down. There is absurdly little information online about what the gum nut is. From what I can tell, it's an inedible seed casing, but does that make it like a walnut situation, or is it more like tree bark or something? Just to be extra sure, I thought I should check what it does in game. Explodes cutting zombies in its warm sticky substance. That definitely sounds like something nuts could do. Just to be safe though, I'm going to leave the gum nut for now, and I'll consult the Council of Nut Experts in my comment section after this video drops. After a few more attempts, I had a really good run where I finally made it to the last wave. And then it dawned on my empty little head that this is just the tutorial for the spring bean. And this wave is not possible. It would require like 3 or 4 plant food for both of these lanes. The only way this is possible if we use the plant food on the spring bean. I didn't plant them there, but I'll let you guys decide in the comments if this is a win or not. Day 17 was the 3rd level in a row that I couldn't beat first time. I'm not sure if you noticed, but the difficulty is really starting to ramp up. This level has a really unique objective that you need to kill 20 zombies in 30 seconds. Initially I thought it meant kill 20 zombies in the first 20 seconds, which would not be happening with the Goober gang over here. It's a cool idea, but if you've beaten the final wave, then you've beaten the challenge, like, no matter what, so it's pretty redundant. This was also the first level I was really getting violated by these birds, man. Getting your nuts pinched like this leaves you with an entirely exposed lane. I wish I had a cool explanation as to how I beat this one, but I kinda just kept running it back until I got it. It took me well over an hour though. Day 18 doesn't let you pick your plants, and honestly, it's kind of a welcome break. I've been struggling so much on the past few levels. Using repeaters really shows you how subpar the peanut is, it's kinda sad. Day 19 was another sun production level, so I just had to use the sunflowers. I kinda totally forgot about the requirement this time, so I had to walnut stall the last zombie so I could generate more sun. There was also a flower line to protect, but again, that's small work for my crew. It was a very easy level. Did you know that walnuts can withstand the mind-blowing 10 gigabytes of pressure? That makes them roughly equal in strength to precious metals like iron, steel, and aspic. Day 20 is probably the most bizarre level in the entire game, like this has to be some sort of error. This is another level that requires you to produce X amount of sun, which is weird enough on its own. The game doesn't normally double up on itself like this. What's even weirder is this level is abnormally easy. The toughest zombie in this level is a conehead, and throughout the entire day only 2 zombies went down the water lanes. This really feels like it was supposed to be day 1 or 2 and got mixed up somehow. If anyone has an explanation for this, please let me know in the comments. I feel like I'm missing something. Day 21 is the 3rd consecutive sun production level in a row. Why can't I just play with my nuts in peace, man? I don't want to use sunflowers. Anyway, this level was the exact same as the last 3, except it wasn't quite as ridiculously easy as the last. I once again forgot about the sun production quota, so I had to dig up all the peanuts in the last lane and put in a walnut to store while I made up the missing sun. This kind of took me back to the days of making a crawler zombie in Black Ops so I can go and gamble all my money away in the mystery box. Good times. I also had to kill 5 zombies in 5 seconds, but again, this kind of just happens without planning for it. It's a fairly easy level overall. After beating it, I unlocked my 7th seed slot. Are there even 7 nuts in this game? Day 22, plan your defense. This is probably my favourite level in the entire game. It's such a creative use of an otherwise underutilized world gimmick. You were given an unusually high budget with this, and with it I created my magnum opus, a virtually unbeatable mix of perfect offense and flawless defense. This is what peak nut performance looks like. I couldn't beat the level. In this level you need to withstand an armada of imp cannons. I laid back watching my force make late work of the imps and successfully held them back to the final wave. Unfortunately, I forgot the lawnmowers can't reach the cannons, so just holding on to the final wave isn't enough for once. And I couldn't even get close to stalling out until all the cannons were exhausted. This level is just impossible. But I'm not calling it found yet. I'm going to come back to this when I've unlocked some more nuts, because I've got an idea in mind that I think can beat this level. Day 23 looked like it was going to be a real challenge because the flower line is so far up, but the peanuts excel in these situations. The level also gives you way too much plant food for it to be a real challenge, and the level's crazy short of only 1 wave. This would have been like impossible though if the flying zombies counted as touching the flowers. Thankfully they don't. Day 24, the final challenge of Pirate Seas. This level is fiendishly difficult. The first obstacle is that we need to protect the stupid bean losers again, and these are some of the flimsiest plants in the game. These narcoleptic letdowns fall asleep after doing the absolute bare minimum, which is awful because I relate to it far too much. The second biggest issue is that we have such a small amount of sun to deal with so many zombies, and the captain pirates make this issue 10 times worse. I spent over 4 hours trying to beat this level. There's this horrid combo of zombies where the game launches flying zombies and swinger zombies at the same time, causing the beans to be triggered and then eaten by the flying zombies. The only way I could get around this was by using plant food on the beans, which I really didn't want to do, but unfortunately it was just a necessity. And as if this level wasn't hard enough, sometimes the beans would spring zombies onto themselves, ensuring that they got eaten. God, that's so annoying. Almost 100,000 people watched my last video, so I need to know, is there anyone out there whose favourite plant is the bean? Surely there is someone out there that saw all this game had to offer and thought, ah yes, garbage, this is my favourite. It really pains me to say this, but after hours of attempt, this level just is not happening. This is another level I'm going to have to come back to. I know for a fact I can beat it once I've got some later nuts, but it's just not happening right now. After spamming the zomboss with snowballs, we once again reached the end of another world. Pirate Seas was much tougher than I was expecting, but I'm happy we made it all the way to the end with just 2 levels pending further nut assistance. I know right now it may seem like upcoming worlds are going to be impossible if I'm struggling with Pirate Seas, but I have an ace up my sleeve that I think can carry me to the very end of this journey. You'll have to stay tuned to find out what silly nut antics I have planned. I just want to say once more that the ridiculous amount of support I got on my last video means the world to me. I never in my life thought a video of mine would ever hit 100,000 views. For the first time in my entire life, I feel like my wildest dreams could actually come true. I'm going to put my all into growing this channel and improving my content. It just makes me so happy seeing people respond so well to my work. Thank you all so very much. The next part will be out very soon, and subscribe to make a little goblin's dream come true. Cheers!